Hey y'all, today I'm going to get you prepped and ready to run Candela Obscura's Quick Start Guides, One Shot, Dress to Kill. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started. At New Fair's World Exhibition, Vera Montgomery models a stunning dress made of green the world has never witnessed. Here, in the Briarbank College's exhibition hall, dozens of onlookers join together in oohs and ahs of the beautiful woman and the equally beautiful dress. However, during this presentation, she suddenly collapses into a pile of glowing bones and viscera. Looming over the body, like a promise, a glowing sign reads, Undark. You are assigned to investigate this odd occurrence and find out what happened. Now, if you are a player, or you might be one for this one shot, do not look any further. There are major spoilers ahead in this one shot. So, what is going on in this one shot? Mainly, the dress is made of a beautiful green pigment that is known as Undark. This is a pigment that is infested with bleed. This substance is manufactured by the Radiance Corporation, which is located in Mordant Springs at the base of the Brittleborn Mountains. Here's a map to show you the geological locations of New Fair and the Brittleborn Mountains. And now, let's talk about the Radiance Corporation. This business is an exploitative company that pays criminally low wages to their workers, and recently, they've captured a primordial creature, the likes of which are for you to decide. But, from this creature, the Radiance Corporation and its partner, Eons, is extracting and harvesting its venom that can be developed into Undark pigments, then incorporated into any material, namely, a dress. They do all of this concealed deep within their mines located in Mordant Springs. And, of course, the end goal of this one-shot is for your players to follow the clues that lead here and decide what to do with the primordial creature, and the business is mine. Interestingly, the Quick Start Guide actually lays out the inspiration that they had when writing this one-shot, so I'll share that with you here. Back in 1917 to 1938, the company known as the U.S. Radium Corporation had created a luminous paint with the exact same name, Undark. Many of the factory workers processing this paint contracted radiation poisoning, facing symptoms like debilitating illnesses, injuries, and death, some of which were later known as the Radium Girls. Additionally, Undark's bright green color and corrosive features was based on a bright green pigment popular in the late 1700s known as Scheele's Green. The creator, Carl Wilhelm Scheele, was aware of the dangers with the large amount of the highly toxic substance copper arsenite, but it was cheap and it was eye-catching, so he sold it anyways, and those that worked to create the products and those that wore them eventually succumbed to arsenic poisoning. What's more horrifying is that this product was available for nearly 100 years. Now that we know the context of this one-shot, let's get into the events that you'll be guiding your circle through. First off, the hook of the adventure is a lengthy, though cinematic play of events regarding Vera Montgomery and the Undark dress. Here is the front cover of the one-shot where you see Vera Montgomery being corroded by the Undark dress. And I'm not going to be reading the hook for you right now, but you can find it in the Quick Start Guide on page 19. You will want to read it before running the game so you're familiar with the words, the tempo, and the overall theme of the theatrical opening to this one-shot. Describe the current status of the exhibition hall and do a bit of a quick recap of all the information they know and were told by Candela Obscura and their Lightkeeper. The Quick Start Guide doesn't go into detail about this Lightkeeper, but in my game, I created Lightkeeper Aveline Thornfield, pronouns she, they. She has a commanding presence with her tall, lean figure draped in elegant Edwardian-style midnight blue robes. Their long auburn hair is expertly styled in an intricate updo, adorned with delicate silver hairpins. Their fair complexion is complemented by their piercing emerald eyes that hold a deep well of knowledge and determination. Aveline has an unwavering sense of duty and commitment to justice, to a fault in some cases. She has a calm and collected demeanor with a fiery determination, and she is a meticulous planner with keen intuition, and she fosters camaraderie among her circle members because she knows how important teamwork is on any investigation. In each section of the adventure, you must convey the important clue that will be leading the circle to the next phase of the investigation. This clue is known as the reveal. For the circle's arrival phase, the reveal is that the dress was shipped and the crate was opened today. The shipping crate is still in the backstage green room, a repurposed classroom that was set up for inventors to prepare their presentations, and it's not far from the main exhibition hall. So with that in mind, you'll be leaving it up to your players to look around for clues within the exhibition hall in an attempt to find this reveal. You can also hint at this information by stating that they notice many inventors having crates they're placing their inventions in, each of them having postage labeling who they are for and where they came from. However, don't make this easy for them. They can't just walk up to one NPC and have them say the reveal immediately. A good story always has some sort of conflict, and in this case, the conflict is trying not to piss people off or tip them off by asking far too many questions. If you'd like to create your own NPCs, remember that you can add inventors that are packing their things and bringing their boxes to the green room, citizens that witness the event giving their account of what happened to OUP members, the OUP members themselves that are investigating the dress. Should the circle investigate the dress, remember that it is heavily contaminated with bleed. If they aren't careful when handling it, they may take a bleed mark and/or a brain mark from the terrible sight of a human reduced to a pile of mush and glowing bones. If you would like, I have created 3 different situations that you can use for your game. Toward the back right side of the room, there are currently 2 inventors that are packing their things back into the crates used to protect their inventions. One of these people is Professor Min-Jun Park, his pronouns he, him. He's in his late 40s and has neatly combed black hair and a well-groomed goatee, and spectacles that he folds and hangs on the front of his button-up. He is an esteemed inventor and visionary that, after the invention of electricity, has dedicated his life to capture and project moving images. He is passionate about this project and is very enthusiastic about sharing knowledge and his invention. So much so that if the circle members ask anything about it, he may ask them to follow him to the green room so he can show them his prototype of film projection. Dr. Victoria Sinclair is the other, pronouns she, her. She is an accomplished scientist with an aura of intellectual brilliance. She has sleek black hair that is perfectly styled, and she dresses in sophisticated, tailored attire. She was once a student at Briarbank College, where she earned her doctorate in physics, and while performing the research for her dissertation, she had accidentally created an X-ray reaction. Knowing the implications this may have on the medical field, directly after receiving her doctorate, she focused all her time on developing this X-ray machine. Dr. Sinclair is very guarded with people examining her X-ray machine and only feels comfortable placing it on display from a distance as to avoid people from stealing her idea before it's finished and officially produced. With these 2 inventors, that should give you plenty of info to go off of, and should the circle decide that speaking to them is a good idea, they can then lead them to the reveal. Should the circle decide to try and listen in on an interview between a young man and an OUP officer, use these NPCs if you need them. First, Officer Benjamin Sawyer, his pronouns he, him. Officer Sawyer is in his mid-50s. He has dark brown skin, short-cropped gray hair, and hazel eyes accompanied by wrinkles just below them. He wears his formal OUP uniform and is a seasoned investigator for the OUP, which means he has seen more cases than most. This also means he loses his patience for people that don't give him the answers he needs really quick. Which is unfortunate because the young man he is interviewing is near hysteria and can barely focus on answering any of the questions without going into a fit of crying. Officer Sawyer is on the verge of blowing up in a burst of rage towards this civilian, but has surprisingly kept his cool so far. And the young man, Nathan Turner, pronouns he, they. Nathan is in his early 20s and has a slightly disheveled appearance. He has long, messy brown hair and a deep set of green eyes that almost look blue if the light hits them the right way. However, right now his eyes are so red from crying that it is tough to even see the colors outside of the red. Usually Nathan is rather inquisitive and imaginative, hence why he had come to the New Fair World exhibition in the first place. Unfortunately for Nathan, he had a front row seat to the horrific events that had happened to Vera Montgomery. The Circle can even spot some of Vera's blood that had landed on his casual t-shirt and shorts. He is currently being interviewed by Officer Benjamin Sawyer and is on the verge of another breakdown as he recites the events that had transpired. Should the party listen in on the conversation, they will learn whatever you like them to learn, including the recounting of when Nathan had first watched Vera exit the classroom doors. He was stunned by how vibrantly green the dress was and followed her all the way to the stage to learn what this new invention was. And admittedly, he was very attracted to her. And finally, that brings us to the last of 3 very possible situations to expect. Should the Circle decide to investigate the dress directly, remember to keep in mind that it is infested with bleed. If any player directly touches the dress, they will take bleed marks. You may want to give them a sense roll to find this information out. Because they're most likely new to this game and have yet to learn of bleed, you may give them a chance, or you may not. Either way, they are going to learn to not touch glowing stuff directly with their hands. Besides that, the party may also suffer a brain mark depending on how you feel they would react to the sight of a pile of loose flesh and glowing bones. Yeah. However, before any of this, the Circle will have to get past the current OUP investigator that is currently looking over the dress. And that OUP officer is Amelia Hughes, pronouns she, her. Officer Hughes is in her early 30s and has a bob-style haircut with her left side shaved, though the hair is currently up in a bun. Typically, she wears sunglasses, but currently she has taken them off and have placed it on the stage a few feet away from her next to her hat. She also has a lollipop that she grabbed while patrolling the outdoor part of the festival, and the white stick is currently visible out of her mouth. She is a seasoned OUP agent, much like the Officer Sawyer, and knows her way around the crime scene. She also has a keen eye for the details, which is why she's here, and Officer Sawyer is over there talking with the annoying kid. She doesn't like being bothered while she looks over the evidence. She might miss something if she's distracted. Should a person approach her, she will look at them, reference that she's looking at the dress, and then return to whatever she was doing. If she's bothered again, and the Circle member fails a sway roll, she will call Officer Sawyer to escort them out of the exhibition hall altogether. Should this happen, the Circle will see another OUP officer interrogating an inventor, asking where they are going, and the inventor can then give the reveal information that he is bringing his inventions back to the others in the classroom across the hall. Hopefully, in some way, you are able to convey the reveal to your players, and they are able to find the classroom where the crate is located. If you are not able to convey this information, don't worry, we'll talk about what to do in a little bit. But for this phase of exploration, the Circle will look around the room while inventors, possibly Dr. Victoria Sinclair and Professor Min-Jun Park, are standing over their sealed crates chatting about whatever. Or the room is completely void of anyone, giving the Circle plenty of time to investigate the many crates that are found here. This would be a great time to tell your players that they notice labels on the crates with inventors/presenters' names and postage showing the address it came from, just in case you didn't do that before. Now the players must find the reveal, which is the postage on the box that held the dress. This postage reveals that this crate was shipped from the Radiance Corporation, located in Mordant Springs. Here is the picture of the shipping label as found in the Quick Start Guide. I will be uploading this so that you can get it in the episode description and use it for your game. One thing to keep in mind is if the players open the crate for any reason, remember that the inside of this box is filled with bleed. So award them bleed marks appropriately. So, your Circle didn't get the first reveal, huh? That's totally fine. Realistically, the classroom could have another entrance that leads outside. If the Circle were to wrap around the college, they would see a bunch of investigators leaving a separate entrance at the back of the college. And boom, fixed. Or they might find a group of event planners talking about what happened and are totally willing to talk about the events because they're a bunch of gossips. It's good to have contingencies just in case something goes awry. But let's move on to the second phase of exploration. Once your circle finds the shipping label, they are destined to travel to Mordant Springs, and luckily, there is a train heading there right now. Feel free to just skip over the travel time unless you want your players to be able to chat. I'll leave that up to you though. As a note, the Quick Start Guide separates Exploration Phase 2 and Escalation Phase 1, but for me, I think it's a lot easier to just combine the two of these sections into just the Exploration Phase, so that's what we're going to be doing here. The reveal for Exploration Phase 2 and Escalation Phase 1 can be summed up into this one reveal. Undark transforms people who are exposed to it, most commonly making bones brittle and glowing, and if the person has been exposed to it long enough, they may begin transforming into a monster and become violent, attacking anybody nearby. Those that have seen this know that the Undark Mine is where Undark material comes from. Once your players arrive, you have a text box to read, basically explaining their journey and what kind of town they're arriving in. I would also suggest coming up with a few different points of interest that your players would notice when they first arrive. And here is a rough map that you may want to use or give to your players. Either way, it's in the description below. The Quick Start Guide also gives a few important NPCs that you can use for this phase of the assignment, and I went ahead and took the liberty of creating a couple points of interest for you, but feel free to take it and make it your own. Starting off, we have the town's general store, the Bitter River Mercantile. This store stands as a weathered sanctuary amidst the oppressive shadow of the Radiance Corporation here in Mordant Springs. Its facade, once vibrant and lively, now its wooden planks dilapidated by time and the absence of upkeep. As the circle enters, the air hangs heavy with a depressive atmosphere. The shelves are half-stocked, and it's eerily quiet, besides the bell that rings when the door opens, but even that is missing the clapper within it. And if they're quiet and listen close enough, they can hear a soft thudding sound from the floor above. But more on that later. Behind the front desk, there is an older woman named Kiko Nakamura. If the circle is quick enough, they can see Kiko's face turn from sadness to a fake smile happiness at the sound of the bell. Kiko Nakamura. Her pronouns are she, her, and she is in her late 60s and has a full head of white hair. She wears glasses. Past them, you can see on her cheeks numerous age spots, along with deep smile wrinkles, suggesting that she has had a life filled with happiness, at least at some point in her life. If the circle attempts to question her, her smile will drop and she will immediately go into a neutral tone, but never in an aggressive way. If the circle states they are trying to solve a mystery and they think the Radiance Corporation is involved, she is eager to get their help with her wife, Yale Nakamura. This is the source of the soft thuds on the floor above. You see, Yale Nakamura worked in the Undark Mine. At first, she only suffered mild illness, but as time passed, her body transformed, and now she stays on the second floor, wasting away slowly. Kiko is desperate for a cure and will help in any way she can if the circle promises that they will try to find a cure, even going as far to allow them to ask Yale questions. If the circle obliges, you better buckle up because it's about to get real sad. Yale Nakamura, their pronouns are she, they, and Yale is in her current state with no hair and currently wearing a white t-shirt and shorts. She is constantly warm even when it's cold in her room, and the transformation referenced before include long nails, her left eye is slowly splitting into two, and her legs are growing longer, making them appear more stringy, like Jack Skellington. Before, Yale was a resilient individual with a quiet strength, but now, should the party come upstairs to find her asleep and try to speak with them, the circle will feel their strength as Yale attacks them if they don't leave quick enough. Should this happen, make sure to give body and bleed marks appropriately. Should the circle kill Yale, Kiko will be inconsolable. However, she will help this circle, telling them that Yale was a miner and that was where the undark materials were coming from. That should lead your circle into escalation phase 2, or 1. 1, I guess. Alternatively, if your players choose a different place to go to, they can investigate the Whispering Waters Retreat. Nestled amidst the picturesque landscape of the Mordant Springs, the Whispering Waters Retreat has been used to offer a serene and tranquil atmosphere in the past. Now, it is filled with workers from the mines who have gotten so ill that they cannot even return to work. If the party arrives here, they will see the beautiful hot springs and they may want to partake, but as they get closer, they will start to realize that this place is full and they may begin to ask questions. As they approach, they notice wisps of tantalizing steam rising from the pools and a fragrant aroma of medicinal herbs. And then they hear the constant coughing and groans of the ill. They will then see a woman tending to the sick, bringing them fresh water and fruits to keep them hydrated while they sweat the sickness out. If the party approaches her, they will be met with someone who is far too busy to talk. The woman is in her 40s with a soft-spoken, humble demeanor. I think of Morgan Freeman as a woman. She has light brown skin that is regularly dirty from digging herbs up in the garden. She carries around many pouches and satchels filled with different healing herbs that she most likely picked the morning of. This woman refuses to play into the games of the circle, even to reveal her name to them, and no one around her can even chain 2 words together to give them her name. If the circle shows interest in stopping the Radiance Corporation, she will share that the factory has been leaking undark in the Bitter River, and the people of Mordant Springs were completely unaware of it until it was already too late. She and many others can show the circle their bones that glow through their skin. Some patients in the springs have even progressed so far to have green eyes. She also informs the circle that most of the people that come here are workers of the mines, and most of them say that that is the place where the undark material comes from. As that happens, from one of the pools, the circle will hear screams. The woman says, "No, no, 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 not again," and begins rushing that way to help out. When they arrive, they find one of the patients here has been completely cut and ripped apart by another transformed worker. They crouch down over the body and begin biting into the slowly transpiring victim below. Now, the party may leave this, or they may choose to help. Either way, give bleed and body marks appropriately. Should the circle stay and help, the woman will provide aid by giving them a pouch of healing herbs that can take away a bleed mark, or she'll perform first aid on one of the circle members to take away a body mark, or even giving one of them an item that could aid them in this investigation. One of the riskier options of this exploration phase is your players may decide to go directly to the Radiance Corporation factory. This factory is located at the base of the mountain slope and has lifts connecting here to the mines where the Radiance Corporation creates Undark. Should the circle enter the factory unseen and through the back door, they will find very basic working conditions that have been set in place to cover up the terrible practices the employees are forced to follow. For example, they may at first see some of the employees carrying a container of Undark, but only with leather gloves, which bleed can seep through. Also, if they were to be found, they would be under constant watch, even approached by the managing director, Cecil Wallace. Cecil Wallace, pronouns he, him, is a late 50s man with a cold and imposing presence. His slick-back silver hair, expensive dress shirt and vest, and slacks exude professional appearance, and his steely gray eyes pierce through any who make direct eye contact with him. So, naturally, no one ever does. Cecil is well known for his manipulation tactics and calculating nature, and he rules over the factory with an iron fist. So, should the circle be seen and approached by him, he will ask what the circle is doing here. And if he, at any point, feels suspicious these people are here to investigate Undark, he will signal to his enforcers to attempt to capture the circle members. However, if they escape, or if they aren't directly caught by Cecil and his goons, they may be noticed by some of the workers here, namely Olu Aje. Olu Aje's pronouns are they, them, and they are a person that when they aren't working in the factory, they are helping out in a secret hospital hidden somewhere in town where the Radiance Corporation factory workers can go to take care of Undark affected employees. They have dark brown skin and a slightly disheveled flat top since they aren't quite worried about personal appearance at the moment. And when the circle interacts with them, they're wearing the Radiance Corporation Grace jumpsuit that each of the other employees wear while working. Should the circle show any interest in wanting to end the production of Undark or stopping the Radiance Corp altogether, Olu Aje will take their break to catch up with them and inform them that they will be off in a few hours and that they would be able to escort them to a place where they can give them more information about Undark and how exactly to stop it. Should your players wait, Olu will bring them to an abandoned fishing wharf to the north of town on the Bitter River where the victims have been staying for a few weeks. When they arrive, they will see many folks laying in makeshift cots and others helping the sick walk down to the river to cool off from the constant fever. Namely, one person seems to be groaning a lot more than the others and is surrounded by a few folks trying to give them water and laying ice on their head. Many folks will look to Olu as a beacon of hope, and Olu brings in basic first aid material for everyone. These materials will be spread throughout the camp, but a lot of it will be brought to that suffering victim. And if your circle looks close enough, they'll see green eyes. Everyone is excited for even the basic resources that are brought to them to show just how bad of a situation they're in. And Olu will take the circle to a private room within the wharf's warehouse. They will inform the circle that many of the victims seen outside have been in direct contact with Undark. The stages of exposure start with brittle and glowing bones, and then moves to green glowing eyes. And the final stage, the terrible transformations they would undergo from continued exposure. Many of which didn't necessarily die from the exposure itself, but from their friends. After they became violent and aggressive, their friends had to end them. At this point, that is when the circle will hear screams from outside. As they rush out, they will find the one person loudly groaning victim that had been there before has entered the final stage of the transformation and is now attacking everyone. They have long, sharp nails that act as talons, their teeth have grown unnaturally sharp, and their eyes glow a nasty green, their hair completely fallen out, and their limbs have rapidly extended to unnatural lengths as they crawl around on all fours. The circle will need to somehow deal with this situation, so feel free to run the combat however you would like, but make sure to give bleed and body marks accordingly. When this situation is dealt with, Olu or another mine worker will inform the circle that the mines have been extracting this glowing green liquid that they send to the factory workers to process. If Olu is still alive, they are willing to travel to the mines with the circle as a guide and to help them infiltrate should the circle be willing to bring them along. And now we are ready to move on to Escalation Phase 1. Your circle will be traveling to the mines to get to the bottom of the Undark mystery. The reveal of this phase will be that there are distressed and otherworldly cries echoing through the mine that are unlike any sound anyone has ever heard before. The circle will understand that whatever Undark is, it's coming from deeper within the mines, and they will continue down to find it. To start this phase off, there is a text box to read for your players explaining the journey to the mine shaft and what they see within it when they arrive, which sets up the first round of checks in this phase. Your circle will see a man in a full-body protective suit that enters their sight holding a rifle. He walks directly towards where your circle is currently hiding, and though he doesn't seem to know where they are, they need to make some sort of a decision fast. Depending on what the circle does decide, request an appropriate check, or if the circle has the guide like Olu, you may want to give them an automatic success, or maybe not. Regardless of whatever the result is, the circle must continue toward the heart of the mine where they begin to feel a static in the air and strange tangy taste on their tongue that also stings the nostrils. Bleed. The deeper they go, the worse it gets. Feel free to add more obstacles for your circle, depending on how they've been doing so far. If they've blown past all of the defenses pretty easily, throw some more at them, in forms of spilled undark liquid where they find transformed workers feeding on it, more bodyguards with rifles, or cave wraiths that hunt people underground. Or create your own types of dangers to throw at your players. However, at some point in their journey, they will start to hear this inhumane cry coming from the large creature reverberating through the caves. As they follow these cries, we move to the climax of the story. This is where the circle finally finds the answers they seek. The reveal of this part, of course, is that Eons, the exoteric order of new sciences, has imprisoned the undark beast. But the circle will find that there is a way to release it. As they continue down the mine, following these cries, they will come to a large chamber where there are countless big machines connecting to this big beast. For me, I imagine the creature laid atop a large platform that is relatively low to the ground at about table height. The creature has midnight black chitinous armor covering its body and large scythe-like claws that have been chained up along with its spider-like legs, preventing it from being able to move. The head looks similar to the Nexu from Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, that thing right there. And at the center of its back, there is a deep glowing green that emanates through the chitinous armor, matching that of Undark's color. A dozen tendrils reach out from its back, extending with small teeth that are meant to latch onto whatever prey it may seek and pump venom into them. Connected to the tendrils are an equal amount of tubes that are currently pumping the green liquid out of this creature and into the nearby machines. The creature looks to be weak, and every so often makes the ear-piercing screech heard from before. However, the few dozen workers and scientists that work here on the machines, they're checking the creature's vitals and seem to be unfazed by the screeches, leading the circle to believe that they are wearing some sort of earplug type mechanism, which plays to the circle's advantage. Placed throughout the room, near these machines are large barrels that seem to give off a faint glow. These are containing the undark liquid, and they're labeled with the symbol of Eons, which we currently don't know, but feel free to make this up however you think it fits. For me, this picture under Eons info in the quick start guide makes it look like it's an eye-shaped figure, which may be important. I think it fits pretty well with Eons, and so I'm going to go with this. So now, as your circle takes in all of this information, it is up to them to figure out what to do. There are several options they may choose, including unlocking the chains and setting it free, killing it, opening these barrels and dumping them on the scientists, blowing up this mine altogether, or killing/bargaining with the Eon's enforcers and scientists, or something else entirely. Since this is very much up to how you interpret the monster and how they decide what to do, I'll leave that up to you to decide how to prepare yourself for the circle's final decision. Whatever the ending, make sure to close the assignment out with a small narrative piece to explain what happens after they are done. Did they release the beast with hopes that it would escape, or with the goal of destroying the people who caged and harmed it? Did they keep the beast in chains and attempt to destroy, manipulate, or negotiate with the Radiance Corporation on their own? Did they bond with any NPCs, and if so, where are those NPCs now? Is the Radiance Corporation and capitalist exploitation a theme that resonates with your group? If so, how can you twist the ending into a cliffhanger that allows this organization to appear again? If your circle didn't defeat the Radiance Corporation, how does this affect the group, and what becomes of the people of Mordant Springs? Answers to any of these questions can inform your final narrative and can possibly lead to the circle's next assignment or another circle's assignment to clean up after them. Either way, you are now ready to run Dress to Kill for your friends. If you found value in this guide, please let me know in the comments and make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you all for watching. I'll see y'all later.